Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Longtime Albuquerque High assistant coach, also Albuquerque High star, former New Mexico Highland star, Alvin Metters, passed away on September 30th. And today is a tribute show to Coach Metters. Coach Metters, the player, Coach Metters, the community leader. We feel that it's very fitting. The services are at God's House this Saturday, October 19th. And with us to discuss more of Alvin Metters' life is one of the main sponsors of ProView Networks, Marty Sice. Marty, State Farm Insurance Agent, Marty Sice. Marty, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, Ed.
You know, I tell you, and when I think of Alvin, and you know, I've got such memories. He and I worked together at community centers. He was the community leader at Thomas Bell Community Center. When he passed away, there were so many guys on Facebook, Tommy French, Malcolm Stafford. So many guys had worked for him in the community, right? So he meant so much to that community. And you know, Alvin's 10 years older than me, but he meant so much to me as a mentor, as a friend. You know, I coached at Highland after he did, and so he gave me so many tips, right? And I remember I was just telling Coach Edmond, who we'll have on afterward, last two remaining survivors of the Iron Five, that he would tell me if I wasn't dressed right, Ed, you got to shine your shoes. Because Alvin came in suspenders, a tie. Oh my goodness. Alvin looked so sharp on that bench. And if I didn't look right, he would tell me. You know, he would always tell me. He'd always had tips for me. I'm not going to tell you that we always agreed on tips or what he said. We didn't. So I'm sure you didn't either. But Alvin, as they say, Al was Al. Al was going to tell you what he thought. If you didn't like it, too bad. But he'd be back at your office the next day, right? So, Marty, I'm sorry, I didn't want to steal any thunder. Those are my recollections, and I have more. But I'm sure you have a bunch. You work with him for how many years with the Granger Hurricanes?
Well, you know, Alvin didn't give tips. He gave life lessons.
Right.
That's what it was, life lessons. I always had put your arm around and try to tell you what you should be doing and stuff. You know, I just, Alvin Metters, I'll probably share this on Saturday. You know, the good Lord brings people through your life and cross paths to your life. And for some reason, he brought Alvin Metters into my life in 2007. I knew of Alvin. I knew he was a player at Albuquerque High. I knew he coached at Highland. In fact, he was coaching at Highland when I was at Cibola back in the 80s. I think he coached 1 year at Highland in 80, I think 83 or 84. So I was over at Cibola coaching. And so I knew, you know, and then he coached the JV. And then for a couple of years, he was our gym monitor at James Monroe. And then when I took over as president in 2005 of AYBL, he was our gym supervisor. But the extent of our conversations was, hey, Alvin, how's things going? How's the gyms going? How you doing? That was it. But in November of 2007, Coach Alford and Steve Adams and Abe Apodaca asked me to start a AU club. And so I made the decision I wanted to find coaches that had played college basketball. And the first coach I wanted to be was Greg Brown, that played for UNM and Albuquerque High, but I didn't have his number. And so I knew Alvin Metters, the Bulldogs always have numbers of all the other Bulldogs. And so I called him, and he goes, why are you calling Greg? And I said, well, I want to start. I'm going to start this AU club, and I want this to be the elite club and stuff. And I'm looking for coaches that played college. And he didn't hesitate. Man, I was an All-American at New Mexico Highlands. I scored 24 points a game. I want to coach. So he was my first coach. And so we started the Southwest Titans. I brought this shirt today. This was 13 years ago. We started the quote Southwest Titans. And so he was my detail guy. He was the one that got the uniforms together. It's a lot of work and effort to put this together. And so, Greg Brown ended up being one of my coaches, and Brian O'Neill and J.J. Griego. So we had pretty 5 solid coaches out there. But, Alvin, I was thinking the other night, why did the good Lord bring us together? And people, I used to call him Coach. The only time I called him Alvin was when we were mad at each other. Marty. It was always, he'd call me Coach, I'd call him Coach. Every day it was Coach this, Coach that. So I didn't, unless we were mad, we didn't call our first names. But I stopped to think the other day, why did Alvin get excited about coaching? And if you looked at his history, like you said, he was in the community centers, helping the low income, getting them food, taking them to the zoo. He played basketball, but he coached track, the Jesse Owens Club.
Our coach Jesse Owens, yes.
Yeah, for years, and he traveled. He took those teams to national tournaments, and then golf, joined the golf club, mainly for low-income kids, and those kids ended up playing in national tournaments, and I think he missed that. When I came, I told him, we're going to be playing in national tournaments, we're going to be playing against the big guys, and so I think that was the common thing that both of us hit was the kids, that we both believed our kids could do better and go to the next level, and so that connection was hit there, and that connection remained for the last 13 years that we got been together. And I'm sorry for getting real emotional, but he's the only guy in my whole life that I actually called brother.
Right. No.
I have 2 brothers, real brothers, but he's the only one I call brother. And he we were totally opposite. I'm the big picture guy. He was a detail guy, and he just knew how to finish my sentences, or I'd finish his sentence. We just kind of thought a lot together, and it's kind of weird because I'm a North Valley Hispanic guy, and he's from, black guy, and we just seem to connect, and all the way through. And
it's funny when you mentioned the detail, and you and I were talking yesterday, and I think it was last week, and I think we talked for like 20 or 30 minutes because we both had such memories of Coach Metters. And I think one of the things about the detail, though, and I really loved, was the uniforms. You said that he would iron. Tell us that story, because that one there is vintage Alvin Metters.
Well, Alvin, like I said, Alvin, we were going to look good. Like I said, our goal was to be an elite team. And I was telling my family the other day, in 2007, I was part of another club, and that year, Derrick Rose and Kevin Love and O.J. Mayo were playing. There was 4 teams in their pool in Vegas, and I remember talking to Chad Adams, and Alvin was right there. I said, "Man, we're going to be here someday." And Chad Adams says, "Really, you think we're going to play with these guys, Coach? Really, you think so?" I said, "Yeah. I mean, we got to believe that." And so the next year we got our club, and guess what? Chad Adams and those guys were playing in the main courts, and so we wanted to look good. So we looked at how the other teams were, and so our uniforms were sharp looking, and we used to keep the uniforms so that way we didn't have to buy uniforms every year, because it's about $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, and that's money we could use at tournaments. So Alvin would take the uniforms back, he'd wash them, and then he would hang them in hangers according to his wife and his daughter. And then when season came, we'd get our bags and shooter shirts, and he would iron every uniform. I mean, he had it pressed, he had it labeled. I mean, with me, I'd have just throw the darn things in the bag. But not Alvin, man. They had to look good. And then for every game, like you said, we had to have all the polo shirts. He'd text all the coaches, "Hey, we're going to wear red polo shirts today. We're going to wear whatever we're going to do." you know, we wanted to look good, and again, we wanted our club to be one of the elite clubs in the country, which we have, and he's one of the main reasons we did it. I mean, he did all the details during from probably March to July. I'll bet he averaged about 15, sometimes 20 hours a week just doing AAU, and we didn't get paid. You know, we don't make any money doing that, but I think we had the common thing of we were doing this for the kids, and I think we. In the 13 years we ran the club, I think close to 170 kids have been in our club that played college basketball, probably close to $10 million in scholarships. And Alvin was the detail guy. He's the one that, you know, this summer I had to do, and spring I had to do all the details, and I spent a lot of time doing it. I said, dang, I sure miss Alvin. Showcases, camps. He was the one that got the rosters, everything together. He's the most detailed guy other than Gene Pino. Gene Pino and him are probably close. Alvin ironing the clothes probably took him a little bit above that, but not by much.
I'm going to tell you something, okay, when he coached at Highland, okay, and then he went to Albuquerque High and was a longtime assistant under Coach Holzman, there's a couple of pictures of Alvin right there. You know, the book he gave me when he coached at Highland had practice plans, and I mean he written in pencil, right? So meticulous detail, written in pencil and detailed. 205 to 210 rebounding, 215 to 230 box out, and you know Alvin's handwriting was beautiful, right? He like you said, the detail. So for Coach Metters, and I'll tell you what, Marty, you guys getting together, what a beautiful partnership, and it happened by accident. But you got a great coach, and somebody, he used to tell me this, Ed, you got to know how to relate to them players, man. He would tell me that. If he didn't think I was doing it right, he'd say, look, there's a certain way you got to do it. Now I did it my way, and he did it his way. But I listened because he was 10 years older than me. He was a mentor to me. He was, like you mentioned, an All-American at Highlands, one of the best ball players that Albuquerque High ever had. And we'll get into some of your last conversations with him, you know, about he felt like they could, his Iron 5 could beat any of the Bulldog Championship teams. And they all do that. All the Bulldog champions think that they're the best. And you know what? They were all darn good. That's for sure. But some of the conversations that you had with him, almost until the end, I just got such a kick out of because he's still thinking that, right? Hey, our team was better. I would have done this and that. And he was, you know, he got a tryout, I believe, with Golden State, with Golden State Warriors. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, you know, I think Alvin, you know, I look back in his life and career, we spent a lot of time together. You know, people don't know, he never knew his father. He came from Arkansas.
Some more pictures there.
Yeah, from El Dorado, Arkansas. And when he was 5 years old, his mother headed west, and Alvin got sick. And this is why they stayed here. He got sick as they crossed the mountains here, and so they ended up laying their roots here. And I think that's why Alvin became kind of a father figure for a lot of the kids in the community center, basketball, and so forth. But Alvin was pretty straightforward with the kids, tough love, I guess would be the thing I had from him. and he would talk to him, and then he'd get mad at him and yell at him, and then about an hour later they're giving Alvin a hug, and
those are some great pictures, by the way. You know, one of his things. Now I've talked to some of the Albuquerque High former players that played for him, and one of the things he would say is, "You a knucklehead." Now he meant love, right? He meant it by love. He would tell them if they came to the bench and they didn't do well, go sit there at the end of the bench. You know, go sit there. Don't even sit near me. 10 minutes later, hey, come on back here. Come on back. Tough love.
It was a knucklehead. He had another word he liked. Hey, you're doing a stupid thing. Quit doing those stupid things on the court. Quit doing those stupid things. You're playing stupid play. He never called somebody stupid,
right?
But it was always doing the stupid stuff. And and then sometimes in AAU, we wanted our kids to really think they could play at college level and stuff. Is, hey, quit wasting your mama's money. You got to go play hard and get after it. I said, Alvin, you can't do this. And so one of his last years, a couple of years ago, I said, Alvin, well, you can't be telling the kids that. And in fact, don't even yell at them. Just coach them. And so they went to Dallas, and I couldn't go. And one of the parents streamed the game. And Alvin sat on the bench, and that's not Alvin. Alvin would get up, talk to the refs, yell. He just sat there the whole bench and, cheered the guys on. And they ended up losing by 25 points. As soon as the game was over, I dialed up. I said, I told you not to. I said I told you, don't yell at the kids, but I didn't tell you to lose by 25 points. So go back and do whatever you want to do. So the next game, they go on and stream it at Alvin's old Alvin, yelling. You missed a layup. He'd get all mad at you. Get back on defense, and the parents were looking. Man, that's sure different. Coach Metters is. I was back home watching that game. I said, That's Coach Metters, man. He cared about the kids, and he had that smile on his face.
Look, these are all great shots.
Yeah.
We'll take a break and talk more about Alvin Metters in the next segment on the Sports Desk.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Nick Gutierrez is the fullback. They give it to Lewis. Lewis at the goal line. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. Dorian Lewis.
This is, by the way, 2nd down and goal. And here's a toss to the end zone and a fade route, and it's caught. Touchdown.
He's going to throw it 2nd time tonight. Throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. That's Walker. Walker to the house. Touchdown. Cleveland Storm. Quarterback in the game. They're going to fling it out. Man's wide open. Ball is caught. 40, 30, 20. Can he get to the house? Touchdown, Cowboys. Look, throws it out, has a man out there. Ball is caught. 10, 5, the spread, touchdown.
Another first down. There goes Fuentes after the
Look at that move.
buck action. Still on his feet.
Oh
Fuentes
my
might be
gosh.
going to the house. Touchdown. 28-yard run by the sophomore quarterback, Deshaun Fuentes.
Bit of a rebuild for him this year. Brandon Alvarado is the running back now as Ortega has it. Ortega at midfield. Ortega at the 40. Foot race to the sideline. 10, 5, house, touchdown, Cleveland Storm.
They've had success for sure. This is probably the. Oh, what a
This
play
is
right
picked
there.
off, intercepted, and going all the way is Mara for the touchdown.
That may be the top play of the week, man.
Here's the handoff to Jensen. And he breaks it, and look out! Shot out of a cannon! Tyler Jensen is into the end zone. Touchdown.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? 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 Dang, this one made me feel all special.
win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with State Farm Insurance Agent, big supporter, sponsor of ProView Networks, Marty Sice. And this is a tribute show to former Albuquerque High star, former New Mexico Highland star, coach of many, community leader, Alvin Metters. Just talking about him, Marty, and we got Phil Edmond ready to come in, one of the 2 survivors of the Iron 5, along with Rick Clark. And, just talking about Albuquerque High basketball. I played for Highland. There was a big rivalry there, right? And but Albuquerque High has legions. Just hearing Coach Edmond talk about Ernest Jenkins and Johnny Brooks and Larry Williams, back in the day when they talk about Bulldog pride. And again, that kind of stings me because I'm a Hornet, right? But back in the day when I said this, when they wore that uniform, Albuquerque, it intimidated a lot of people. It did, because people are like, man, these guys represent, And then they had the moxie and the winning know-how, and you just mentioned the skull sessions that they did. And, I just had somebody tell me, Ricardo Otero, who plays for Albuquerque High, was talking to Tommy French, who was a Bulldog star. He said he couldn't remember the offense that they ran in college, but he remembers the offense that Coach Holzman taught him. So there's such history there. You do New Mexico basketball history, and there's so much history there at Albuquerque High, and Coach Metters was a huge part of that, huge part, an assistant under Coach Holzman for many years, a part of several championships over there. So, again, his impact went beyond basketball. Community leader, we mentioned that. It's such a big impact.
Well, I know Phil's here in the studio, but, the Bulldogs, when you used to play them, they used to come in their Letterman jacket, and they would walk in the gym together, and they'd give you that frown look, and then Coach Holzman would stand at the half court looking at you, warm up. And so you were probably lost the game before you even started. But if I knew today what I know about them today, I think I'd be a little differently. Alvin told me his junior year in the state championship game, Alvin did not play in that state championship game. They were getting pounded by Hobbs by 30, 40 points. And Coach Holzman looked down, I think Phil and them were at the end of the bench, and Alvin purposely untied his shoestring so he couldn't go in there. He didn't want to get pounded by there. But, he did say something really powerful. He says after the game, the 5 of them got together, and Phil probably said, we're going to win this one for you, Coach, because they hadn't won anything since 1946. But I got to know Alvin real well. We were early in the tournament, a tournament in El Paso, and there was no lights going to the gym, and all I had was my cell phone. And Alvin looked scared to death. I said, "What's wrong? There's no lights here, Coach." I mean, hey, Alvin, we'll be there. We'll get there. So if I know today, man, if I'd have known today, I'd have turned the lights off on the Bulldogs right off the bat. They would have been so scared. We would have had a chance. They would have looked as tough. And, it was just, there was things that he used to tell me. He lived over by the Thomas Bell area. I don't know what to call it back then, but he'd have to cross the cemetery, and he'd sprint across all the cemetery to get to Lincoln or Albuquerque High, and he used to be scared to death. I said, well, man, if I'd have known all that stuff, Alvin, I would have been scared of you, So they had that toughness on the court, but they also had the big heart and softness and some of the things that are kind of important that they weren't as tough as they thought they were, but they had a big heart.
Well, I'll
as
tell
they
you what,
battled.
it's funny because I played against them, I coached against them, and on the court, they certainly were very, very tough, and there was a certain mental edge you had to have. I'm not going to lie, and they knew how to, how to get you mad. They did. But this is all part of how good they were. They really were. And I'll say this about that Hobbs team of 1970. Coach Edmond knows this. That Hobbs team averaged 114 points a game. That's one of the best. Lawrence Mitchell, the Albuquerque High guard, who was an excellent guard on that team, along with Jakey Martinez, Glenn Lucero, Mitch Alexander. That was a good Albuquerque High team, but I don't know what team would have beat that Hobbs team. Probably no team in New Mexico history. Anyway, some more pictures of Coach Metters here. And Marty, talk to us a little bit.
Those are, that's special. That's a special picture right there. Alvin was coaching our second 1700 team. Our first team had Bryce Alford and Cullen Neal and Sam Haywood, DJ Blackman, and Alvin took that second team to the championship game in a big-time Mile High Classic in Denver. And,
Malik Waters as well, right?
Yeah. Well, Alvin was the coach of that team, and he took that team, including my son Kevin was on that team, and it was really that year we had about 6 of those kids. And probably all 10 of the other teams, all of those kids went to play college basketball. But this team had no chance. This is a team that from Austin, Texas. They barely lost by 1 or 2 points. But it was our second team that made it to the championship. And that's one of the things about Alvin and myself. We were poor losers. We wanted to win. We wanted to play hard. And we went half. This was, like I said, one of the best teams I had.
Mention some of the players, if you could.
Yeah, everyone on this team right here. We got Cullen Neal down at the bottom. We played at UNM. Sam Haywood had a chance to play Division II, just didn't have the grades. My son Jay Hill was the head coach of that team. And then you have Kevin Seiss, who played at Eastern. DJ played, at Fort Lewis. Then you got Bryce down at the bottom at UCLA. In the back, you got George King, who ended up playing at the University of Colorado. Played for the Phoenix Suns last year. You got Zach Lee, that was a star at El Dorado, played at.
That was a heck of a team right there.
And then we had a kid out of Houston that played with us. And then number 40 was Jemani McNeese, who just graduated from the University of Oklahoma. And then Mikey Ortega from Rio Grande High School. And then this was the second team. We just had some really good teams. We've had some really good teams, and we got these kids believing that they could compete no matter who it is. We played the Aaron Gordons and, the Harrison brothers, and, we were playing in the league tournaments for the last 13 years. And so, but also, here's a picture of 2 Highland guys, Phil Schreier and
New Mexico Highlands graduates.
Yeah, they're actually out there with a walk for ALS for our good friend Gene Pino, and Alvin made the Hall of Fame in 2005 over at Highlands, and
Coach Holzman inducted him.
Yeah, he was the leading scorer at his senior at Highlands in the conference, and one of the top scorers in the country.
24 a game, right?
24 a game
without 3-point shots.
But he was also the leading scorer in JUCO both years. Last year he averaged almost 29 points a game, and this is that picture. If you pull it back up, this picture. In 2009, we took my son Kenny to San Antonio, and we had just finished AAU in Vegas, and I said, man, I got to go take my son Kenny to drive out to take him to San Antonio. It's about 12 hours. He goes, Marty, I'll go with you. I said, Coach, you got school? He goes, heck, I'll just take vacation. And so that's probably the time I thought he was family. Nobody would have said, hey, I'll just go with you. And so we took 2 cars. We headed east on I-40, made a right turn on Highway 85 going down to Roswell, and we get pulled over. And I think this was a funny story. Kenny gets pulled over, and so we get pulled over by a cop. And I look back, and I look at him. I said, man, we got a Mexican and a black dude and a bunch of TV and microwaves. We're going to jail. We're going to jail, Coach. He goes, really? Do you think we're going to go to jail? I said, look, we got all this stuff. And so we ended up getting a ticket. And it was interesting. We got to San Antonio. The first day was freshmen. There was 44 freshmen there. And I'll bet Alvin pulled every one of them to the side and told them what they needed to do. In that picture that we showed before was Kenny's senior year. He went back his senior year, Alvin did, and there was only 14 seniors left from that freshman class. Every one of them remembered Coach Metters. They came and gave him a hug, And then after that game, we traveled up to the Dallas Cowboy game, which was his first Dallas Cowboy game ever. And so we had some special memories besides doing AAU basketball. Like I said, he became family in what we were doing.
Awesome pictures, Marty.
I mean,
Keep
these
going.
are camps.
Yeah, awesome.
With him, we did 12 elite skill camps every September, bringing elite people. For the last 10 years, we had a showcase. In fact, this year's most valuable player, I named it the trophy. We had never given a trophy to the most valuable player. I named it the Alvin Metters Trophy, and a player to look for, probably the best player in the state, Josiah Ramos, won that Player of the Year. But he was out. You know, one thing you always look at, you look at all these pictures, he always looked sharp. He looked big time. In fact, one tournament we were at, Clyde Drexler was there, and everybody thought he was Clyde Drexler. So one time some kid says, hey, Mr. Drexler, can you give me an autograph if I looked at Alvin? Give him the autograph, Drexler, come on, don't be shy. And so, you know, and he had that little smile on his face all the time, and you know, that little finger, you know, it was such a good bond. Maybe a little different bond than that Phil will talk about. And here's a picture of his older brother. That's one of the most cherished pictures there. A few months later, his brother passed away.
Jahari Metters.
This was Robert, I think. Robert.
Oh, Robert, his other brother.
Yeah,
Robert.
from Las Vegas.
Okay.
He was one of the older.
So he passed away.
Yeah, here's Alvin beating a team out of LA that he probably shouldn't have. This was a special memory here. You know, he went with me to watch Kevin play at Eastern, and we got stuck in a snowstorm, and he cussed me out. He goes, look what you brought me to. I said, look at Coach, there's about 6 inches, you know, of snow. And so we got stuck a little bit. It took us about 7 hours to drive back from Portales back here.
Marty, we got a few minutes left. You know, in this segment, there's some more pictures of Coach Metters, but you spent some real good time with Coach Metters right before he passed away. A great picture there with Hall of Fame coach Pete Pino, also Pete Pino, and then Jim Holzman on the right. But you really spent some really important time, and I kind of want you to tell the viewers what Coach Metters was talking about at the end, because you had me laughing, because Coach Metters was still saying the 71 team would have beat all the other Bulldog teams. So explain a little bit to us what Coach was saying.
Well, you know, the day before he passed away, you know, I didn't expect him to die the day before. I went home after that last visit. I spent Saturday with him for about 3 hours and about a couple hours on Sunday. But Sunday we went there, and he was in a whole lot different spirit, a little energy, and I don't know how we got in the conversation, but we talked about Bulldog basketball, and he goes, that Iron Five, we were the best. I said, well, Coach, you know, that 17 with Trini Solis and James Bell and Roger, no, we had to kick their, well, he used some other language.
Right.
Yeah, but and then I said, well, how about, you know, Anthony Aiken and Darren, we'd have killed them. You know, how about Greg Brown? And I mean, there was no team I could have mentioned would have beaten them, you know, but it was just his energy and his enthusiasm.
And watch the Lakers.
There's some video right there.
Yeah, we got to go watch the Laker game. You know, that was probably one of the special basketball weekends there. We went to go see the D-League team for the Lakers. One of the Casey Owens, whose son was playing with us. Casey's now a basketball director of operations in New Mexico State. And then the following day, Casey got us tickets to the Laker game. That was the big guy from San Antonio, just drew a blank. Duncan. Last game at playing the Lakers, and so it was a huge game. And then the next game we got to watch UCLA in Colorado. So it was a basketball weekend that we got to see. But you know, Alvin had so much energy that day. You know, the other thing we talked about was the coaching the McDonald All-American game in 1988. That was another big highlight for him. And so when I left,
he had that poster in his office for many years.
Well, he had it on his walls at home and stuff.
Coach Holzman was the head coach that game.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, here's Coach, and you know, here's you know, all the camps, all those kids, all their shirts, everything was done by Coach, and you know, that was about a year ago, and he was still there, still active. This year was the first time that we didn't have, but you know, like I said, that was the UCLA game with Bryce, and when Bryce, that's a good example. When Bryce and George and Ken and those were three guys that played at our club, they saw Coach. They went over and like a father, gave him a hug, and and then there's buddy Phil Edmonds.
There's Coach Edmond, who we'll have on shortly here.
Yeah.
It's important to note too, an avid golfer, right? He started the junior golf program with the city. People forgot that. Also, Hershey Track, Jesse Arco Owens games. He did so much more than basketball.
He was a coach.
Yes.
That's why I call him Coach. He coached.
Keep going,
He coached life, and You know, in a lot of charity golf tournaments I was in there, he wanted to be part of the State Farm Marty Size team, and so he got to be there. But you know, he was just family to us. You know, it makes it a little tough to see him not here.
No, you know what, Marty, you did a great job with these photos and a great job near the end of his life. I think you were someone, along with Coach Edmond, who talked to him every other day. You know, he had a lot of connections in life, right? A whole bunch. You know, tragically, his son Nate passed away. His elder brother Robert, you mentioned, also his other brother Jahari passed away, and I remember Jahari very well, along with Nate. So you know, those things, I know they really. There's a picture of the Iron Five. We'll talk about that with Coach Edmond here in a minute. But Marty, the services Saturday. Would you tell everybody the services are at God's House? What time? October 19th this Saturday.
It'll be this Saturday. You know, 11 o'clock at the God's House. You know. With all the people Alvin knew and stuff, I encourage you to get there early, because I expect that place to be packed. I know Coach on Saturday when we talked together, he goes, "You better not have no service for me." So he might be a little mad that we had the service, but also he's going to be smiling down that all his family and friends are there together for him.
Well, you know, look at all those. Gosh, what great photos and old. I love old photos. But I think to me, it was fitting that we had this show, right? It's fitting. He deserves it. That's the kind of impact he had on so many people. I know he had one on my life, and even till the end, I would call him every week. Hey, Al, and he didn't want to talk about why he didn't tell me, but he knew that I knew. Ed, I love you, and I love you too, Al. You know, so I'm glad that we had that. Look at these old photos. Look at that. That is just such awesome stuff.
Look.
We'll be back with Phil Edmond after these messages on the sports desk.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger...
Authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly...
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch green chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut! We're gonna need another Laguna Burger. Try the irresistible, world-famous Laguna Burger. Visit thelagunaburger.com. It's fresh with a kick. Take 32.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your...
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? 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 Dang, this one made me feel all special.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, and everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26. Also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. With us now is one of Alvin Metter's teammates, two survivors of the Iron 5, along with Senator Rick Clark. We're joined by Coach Phil Edmond. Coach, what an honor to have you here, man. I was going to shake your hand.
Glad to be here. Glad
yeah,
to
you know
be
what?
here.
You and I go back many, many years as well. You're Albuquerque Iron 5, won the championship in 1971. And I remember, as I told you, I saw when Coach Metter showed me that tape. That was in 1988, 87. He was VHS tape. And he was so proud of that team. And you were teammates with Coach Metters, but like brothers. I mean, boyhood friends. Coach Metter said that at the old Albuquerque High, they would go do the Harlem Globetrotter, and you were with him in doing that.
Yes. We started that team in the second and third grade at John Marshall Elementary School. We was on Pete Gallegos was the coach.
I remember Coach Gallegos.
We went out and sold hot dogs to get our uniforms, and we was, you could say we was in a gang. We was in a gang during that time.
There's a picture right there, Coach.
It wasn't. Yes,
tell us identify everybody in the picture.
There's me on the left right there, little bit of Phil Edmond, and Alvin in the middle was the head cocky. He was kind of cocky, and then Ron Padrell. We call ourselves the Three Amigos, and that took us all the way up. But we used to go out, and we went to Albuquerque High School back then.
The old Albuquerque High, right?
The old Albuquerque High School at halftime, and we performed Globetrotter moves over there and got pennies thrown at us, and we said one day we're going to be playing in this gym. It was like the pit to us. I mean, it was just that big of a facility. We're used to playing at the outdoors and these little no bleacher gyms, and we got to Albuquerque High, and it was just an awesome experience. And I think that was a little bond for us.
And there's another picture, Coach.
This picture right here.
You're on the left there, right?
We was up, yes, we're on the left. Alvin's in the middle, and you can see Ron and I was probably a little upset right there because Alvin wanted to hold the ball and we wanted to hold it, and he wouldn't let us hold the ball, But that's the way it turned out. But the three of us, they all recognized the three of us. It was like a triangle, you know, and we didn't see this developing. You know, we just loved the sport. You know, they see us playing basketball, but we were better baseball players than we were basketball players.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody, I didn't know that.
You go way back there. A lot of players that you know, we played with David Padrell, Leroy Spicer. Those guys come out the community. Hosey Adams.
Gosh,
We were
all them
baseball
names.
players at the church over there. You know, Alvin them. We was really good at baseball, and then we got up to high school. We kind of made up our mind on what we wanted to, what sport we really wanted to play.
Iron 5 coach.
And it was, yes, that was elite group of guys right there. You know, that was
Identify them, coach. A lot of people don't know them from the
unstoppable group of guys. Down there on the bottom, on the right there was me with our point guard Paul Soto, who was an outstanding ball player. Pistol Pete Mavericks, we used to call him. And right behind him was Ron Padrell, who played varsity, started varsity for 2 years. When he was a junior, he started. Ricky Clark in the middle, who didn't know much about basketball when he left Washington Middle School, and Coach Harold Bailey raised him up. We would be practicing at one end, and Harold Bailey had him at another end, just dunking the ball, just getting him aggressive. And then we have Alvin Mayers, who was a swing forward on the end over there. That was really an unstoppable group. They gave us the name Iron 5 because we were so tight, we were so strong together. That group of guys. It was an elite group of guys. I really enjoyed playing with those guys. It was unstoppable. You probably stop on Alvin's side, they swing the ball around the Paul, they get it to me, and it was hard to stop me because I used to shoot from the parking lot.
And this is a coach. It's important to note before three-point shots. So how many more points would you have averaged?
We would have averaged 100 points a game, you ask me, because Alvin was averaging about 14, 16 points a game, and I was averaging about 12 to 14 points a game, and Ron was averaging 16, 18 points a game. Paul was averaging 15 to 17. Rick was averaging 10 to 12 points a game, but 4 or 5 of our buckets was all from the parking lot. And that would have really doubled it up as if we had the three-point line
back
back
spread
then.
everything out.
Yes.
And plus again, in the Iron 5 and in the state championship against Hobbs, they're pressing all game long. Lee Morgan, the sixth man, plays 4 minutes.
He played 4 minutes in that game. They ran, I mean, every whistle, Hobbs was substituting. They substitute 2 and 3 guys. They ran. That was a great team that year. That was an awesome team. Hobbs had Charles Hutchings, Easy Pugh, James Ward. Those guys was outstanding. And we played with those guys in the summertime. And Halsman would not sub. Ron got in 3 fouls in the first half, and he had to sit down about 4 minutes at the end of the second quarter. Lee Morgan came in, scored 2 buckets, and kept us in the game. And I never forget that game. They was running us, and I got cramp in my leg, and I'm waving at Coach Halsman. Halsman, hey, and he turned his back and walked to the end of the bench.
So in other words, play through it.
Yeah, suck it up.
There's some more pictures there, Coach.
Yeah, that was I think a University of Albuquerque tournament. That's when they had the Coliseum over there. That was an elite tournament there. We was just Alvin was the nucleus of that team. I'm not trying to build him up because this is his tribute, but it was hard to stop Alvin because he had a jump shot, and after I saw it a little bit more when we got to college. We went 2 years of college together. It became a fadeaway jump shot.
Really?
Yes, it became a fadeaway jump shot that was impossible to stop.
Smooth as silk, by the way.
Smooth as silk. Yeah, he was. And we had a lot of championships right there. We won every tournament in the state. Right there. It was a real good experience playing with those guys. Alvin and I, we left there and went to college together there, Frank Phillips Junior College.
So you went to a JC before you went to Highlands.
Well, let me tell you another little story. Bob King was the coach at UNM, and he wanted all 5 of us, the Iron 5. He wanted all 5 of us, and he wanted to send us to a junior college and then bring us back as JC transfers. And so we chose, okay, that's fine. We could do that, get a little experience, a little college experience. And Ron and Paul and Rick Clark, they went up to Fort Lewis. And Alvin and I, we wasn't real sure where we wanted to go, but we went to Texas. We was going to go to West Texas State. Is where we was headed. I mean, we had several offers to go almost anywhere we wanted to go. Any university in New Mexico wanted us, but we went to Texas, the junior college, and this is a story I'm going to share with you guys. We drove 300 miles all the way to Texas, in Albans Capri. We used to drive that drive a lot, but we got all the way to the parking lot. There was a big old oil tanker right there, pumping oil right in front of the dorm. And Alvin got out of the car and opened up the trunk, and I got my bags out, and he closed the trunk, and I'm starting to wonder, well, wait, aren't you going to get your bags out? And he said, I'm going back home. I'll see you later. And jumped in his car and drove all the way back to Albuquerque. Never went into the dorm, and I was shocked. I didn't know what was going on. I'm here in Texas now. I don't know nobody. And Alvin left me in Texas. And he was gone for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and Madea called me up. That was Mom. We called her Madea, his mom. And she said a few choice words to Alvin, and Alvin got back on the freeway and came back up there and had an outstanding 2
2-year
years.
career before he went to Highlands.
Before he went to Highlands, an outstanding 2-year career over there at Frank Phillips Junior College. In fact, they wasn't even ranked in the conference, probably last. Our first year, we moved them up to like 8th in the conference, and when we finished our second year, we finished up 3rd in the conference over at Frank Phillips Junior College. We put them on the map, and after that, they started recruiting Albuquerque, New Mexico high school basketball players.
Wow, so it didn't start out well, but it ended very
well.
good.
Ended really well.
We'll take a break and be back with Coach Phil Edmond on the sports desk after these messages.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch green chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut! We're gonna need another Laguna Burger. Try the irresistible, world-famous Laguna Burger. Visit thelagunaburger.com. It's fresh with a kick. Take 32.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with Coach Phil Edmond. Coach, great memories, his tribute show to Alvin Metters, and I told you, I had to get a Bulldog on. I'd hear it from Bulldog Nation, man. You know I would.
Yes. Well, Alvin was a Bulldog.
Yeah, oh man. You know, all the way through, and it's an honor to have you here. And just some of the stories about Coach Metters. He went on to an All-American career at New Mexico Highlands, got a tryout with the Golden State Warriors. I got to play against him. There's some more pictures of Coach Metters right there. I got to play against him a little bit later, and he was still tough. You know, we play at Dennis Chavez, D.C. And D.C., man, I'll tell you, you know, when you mentioned the tough ball players, and Coach, I got to mention this too, and these are pictures of Marty Sice, courtesy of Marty Sice, that when you were in the state championship game against Hobbs in 1971, behind you are Johnny Brooks and Ernest Jenkins, who are fine ball players in their own right. So, and they played the 72 championship against Highland. So it wasn't as if the guys behind you couldn't play, but Coach Holzman actually, he definitely believed in the Iron Five and going with the seniors.
Well, that Iron Five team was just an outstanding team. Holzman would put. I know when we were sophomores, him putting us in the game, that he had confidence in us. He matched us up as sophomores in high school. We was undefeated, 19-0 as sophomores. As juniors, we probably lost maybe 4 or 5 games because they only allowed us to play half a game because he wanted us to be ready for the varsity team. And Glenn Lucero, J.K. Martinez, Lawrence Mitchell, Mitchell Alexander, those guys were some outstanding ball players.
Very tough, all of them.
You know about them, and they knew if they made one mistake that we was going to come in, and that it wasn't too many games that we got in that we didn't score. It's what built up Coach Holzman's confidence in putting us into the game.
And plus back then, as you mentioned, talk about those little the skull sessions, and you had to have a certain average. Talk about what Coach Holzman's philosophy.
Yes, well, he, his offense was really unique. He ran a real nice type point guard offense to where we had like 2 wings, we had high and low posts, but every position was to average 12 points. And in doing that, he was hoping to average 60 points a game. And if another team could score 60 points on us, then they would win the game. But he knew that we was going to get our 60 points, and they was going to have to get over 60 to beat us. But we would probably get 8 to 10 points from each position before the first half was over. And that would allow these other guys to get experience to get into the game over there. That's Alvin, who was coaching at Albuquerque High School.
Along with Dave Romo.
Right
There's a great picture
Dave
of you,
Romo there. Yeah,
you
that's
and
at the
him.
state tournament. We met there, him and Marty Sykes would always sit on the floor, and I would have to sit up there in the bleachers up there. He would never, I don't know why they wouldn't give me a ticket to go down and sit on the floor with him down there. But this is Alvin coaching his AAU team. He was really excited about the AAU. He did a lot of things.
Yeah, go ahead,
yes, he
Coach,
did. He did a lot of things with Marty Sykes over there that we're really excited about. Working showcases and tried to get me involved in a little bit because I put on a showcase myself every year. Been doing it for about 15 years now. A girls showcase that I get 8 to 10 girls in the college every year, and he wanted me to team up with Marty, and we did for a couple of years there. We got a few girls into the showcase, and Alvin he comes up every year to my showcase and helps hand out jerseys. Like Marty was saying, how he's excited about uniforms. He would hand out uniforms to the girls and enjoy them and encourage them. Alvin did a lot for the kids. He was, like he said, he was more than just a basketball player. He was a community activist, a leader. He encouraged so many kids into being the best that they could be. That was his firstborn.
So many.
Right there, yes.
So many of them. We got about 2 minutes left, Coach. Wrap it up a little bit by telling us your last memories of Coach Metters. I know you talk to him about every other day, so tell us about your last memories.
I'm going to say, and I'm going to try to just go straight with it. My last memories was my best memories with Alvin. Simply because, we grew up together. We did so many things together. We had life lessons, experiences, all of that together. Played ball. He was my brother, from another mother. But about 2 months ago, I got with Alvin, and I shared with him asked him if he died today, if he knew where he was going. And he said he believes he's going to heaven. I said, well, let's make sure of that. And I prayed with him. And he turned his life over to the Lord. He accepted the Lord in his life, which has made me, I did 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago, and Alvin did it in time. And so this is something I'm going to be sharing on on Saturday with individuals, that it's about choosing a certain day. And today is the day, because tomorrow is not promised to none of us. And it really confirms the fact that I know Alvin's in heaven because he turned his life over in time. He accepted the Lord, Jesus Christ. And the only way you're going to get into heaven is if you accept Jesus Christ in your life. And Alvin did, and I just know that I'm going to see him again one day. That was my brother.
Bill Edmond, one of the last two survivors of the Iron 5. Thank you so much for being our guest. I can't tell you what an honor. What an honor.
Yes.
What great memories of Coach Metters, and it's fitting. He deserved that. There's no question about it. He deserved it. For producer Alden Niawani, also thanks to Marty Sice, proud sponsor of ProView Networks. I'm Ed Nunez. We'll be back next week on the Sports Desk.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales. Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.